Congress said, no more slaves, and then that was applied. And we got the Civil War. Because these people resisted that change. So we had the Civil War. Now, we've got these guys in power who are so evolved in power that they are completely above the law. You understand that? Mm-hmm. They have evolved past the concept of law. They are untouchable. Prescott Bush, Grandpa Bush, was already past being touched by law. He was the person who financed Hitler and the rise of the Third Reich with his banks. He was caught. He was discovered. He was fined and sent on his merry way. These guys have evolved past law. And they have, and know they have, all the power. And they're gonna use it all. Every bit of it that they got to hold their position. Yeah.
Is the outcome after the period of the night always predetermined?
No. It's always different. The order is always the same. Consciousness constantly changes. And so there are new influences added. And in this case, the influence that's added is ethics. And it is their complete and total undoing. There's nothing they can do about that.
Before the break, you said we had all the power.
No, well, we do. But these guys believe
power that they have, they are going to use fully.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I've heard a couple definitions of power, and this is power over instead of power with.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. Power over rather than power with. Power over is down here, and power with, of course, is with ethics.
And how will ethics break with that power conglomerate?
Well, it's happening right now with the disclosure of all of their nefarious dealings. All of their lies are coming out. Well, okay. Supposedly, the truth comes forward during the third day, right? The truth comes to consciousness. And all we're getting is lies. Right? Guess what? That's all you were ever getting. Except now the truth of the matter is out. That they are lying liars. It's their profession. They went to liar school for some 4 to 6 years, each of them. And then they squirmed under that bar to get into your lives. Eventually to rise to political influence. All of them being lying, trained lying lawyers. If there's any lawyers in this room, I didn't think so.
But in the meantime, they're bankrupting their own country.
That's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's right in their face, isn't it? There it is. The truth.
Yeah,
Everywhere. That's what's going to undo it.
So December the 9th, 2003 is the beginning of the third night?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's this section right here.
I thought the worst just happened.
No, the
I
worst
guess
hasn't happened
Yeah,
yet.
I get.
The worst is when they're going to be exposed and they try to
Resist.
Resist that. And they will. With everything they've got. That includes nuclear weapons. Absolutely. Yes?
Do you see it as another implosion from within?
Well, actually, what I see is that if you get the picture of this whole thing as a plant. Again, this whole thing is a plant. The seventh day is the fruit. Now, what happens to a fruit is it gets riper and riper and finally goes, and then it lays there with smashed side and rots from the inside out. That's what happens. That's what's happening right now, because that's where we are in the seventh day of the power cycle. And it's rotting from the inside. Right now, the truth of that is coming out. Right here, the impact of all that is going to hit everywhere. Between December 9th and December 3rd. Between December 9th of 2004 and December 3rd of 2005. This is going to be not very easy for any of us. But it's on the schedule and we got to talk about it. But I want to get past this as soon as possible.
2003.
Yes?
2003 to 2004.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not giving any numbers. Thank you very much. That is from this year.
Oh.
I'm sorry. 2003, December 9th of 2003 to December 3rd of 2004. 360 days. Be thankful. It's only 360 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last time it was 20 years.
So what are you going to do, Doc?
You're going to allow. You're going to allow every change that happens, every insurrection, every horrible event, every tremendous, traumatic experience, you're going to allow it. Or you're not going to survive it. One or the other. You're going to understand this process and see that it's following this pattern, or you're going to go completely cuckoo and take yourself and as many other people out with you as possible. That's what's going to happen. Absolutely. Now, let's get past that. The fourth day. Always, every single time, the fourth day is when the new incoming consciousness is the consciousness which is established. It dominates. That's what the word I was looking for. By the time you get to the fourth day, the new consciousness completely dominates the old consciousness. Let me give you an example here. Well, during the fourth day, for instance, during the fourth day of the power cycle, that's when Henry Ford started manufacturing cars. In the fourth day.
How long was the fourth day last?
During that period of time was 20 years. But it was very near the beginning of the fourth day that Henry Ford opened his first manufacturing plant. And hasn't that become a foundation for our whole civilization?
Can you change tape?
Oh, okay. We'll hold it for a second.
Fourth day always is 20 years?
No. It was 400 years down here.
No, but the next,
And this one's going to be 360 days.
Well, isn't that when there was an election in
360 days. This time, it's 360 days.
In 2004, there was an election in the U.S.
Probably not.
Probably not.
No. There's no reason to hold one. It's very unlikely that the systems that are now in place will be able to sustain the amount of truth and ethics that's coming forward. I mean, these guys are all set up to win because they have all of the voting booths are now owned and programmed by the Republicans. So there's no possibility of a fair election, not that there was one last time, They just set up the predication for redoing all of the voting in electronic ballots with no paper trail. So there is no possibility of an election in the first place. It's only going to be an appointment.
Well, it's a sham. He's saying it's a sham.
Complete sham. But that truth is out everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
Hello? Up back here.
If we're just supposed to be
Yeah.
and allow this, then who are the people that bring the ethics forward, that consciousness forward, if we just all sit around and be?
The ethics is in the beingness. Ethics isn't necessarily a doing thing. Ethics is a being thing.
So there might be some Republicans who are actually ethical,
Yes?
and then that would just happen, the truth gets found, and
Yes.
it happens.
It's going to just happen. There's so much more detail I wish I could go in. It's in the book. It really is. I mean, that's what books are for. The Mayan calendar by Coleman. This has always been the case. Genghis Khan came at a particular time for a very specific reason. Right on the Mayan calendar. Genghis Khan murdered, slayed hundreds of thousands of people, doing one job for creation. Where's the fault? George Bush is doing a bang-up job. Clinton did a great job. Clinton did a great job of proving that we don't live in a democracy, where a vote doesn't count. And then Bush took that further. They're doing a great job, people. Admire these guys.
Because all they really are is placements in that process to increase our awareness of what's unethical so that whoever is aware and it allows things to happen will be part of the new ethics that develops.
Yeah, it's sort of like a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Upside your head. Yes.
In the book, too, does it talk about money and how it's going to fit into all of this?
No, but money is going to go away.
Yeah.
Money exchange is going to just go away.
Could I
That didn't go into that.
Have maybe a question period after?
Yeah, let's go on.
I'd like to hear you.
Yeah, let's do that. I like that. Okay. So naturally, ethics is going to override. If you can imagine two trains on the same track, headed right for each other, two trains. The power train, it's just going as fast as it can since the fifth day, since right here, and then World War II. This is like just going, and then coming in the other direction. All of a sudden, is this ethics train? Well, right here, the second night, their cow catchers met. The ethics and the power train met up. Clank. And ever since then, pieces and parts of the power train have been falling off and crumpling up. And pretty soon, the boiler is going to burst. It's going to all be exposed how rotten that whole system is to everyone. Then people will deal with it in their own way. If you can imagine, just imagine a guy who went over to Iraq, got an arm and a leg blown off, poisoned with radiation, comes home and finds out that it was all a lie. Don't you suppose his neighbors, friends, relatives, are going to be a little upset? Without understanding what this is all about, don't you suppose they might go out and act up a little? Don't you suppose it's about time for another civil war worldwide? Isn't that what they're building right now? Isn't Bush a born-again Christian? Isn't he a fundamentalist? And don't those people pray every Sunday for Armageddon? Because it's when they will rise victorious. Take a clue. These guys have all the will and all the way to make that happen. They are doing it right now. I do want to talk about the fourth day. The fourth day is always when new foundations are laid for the new consciousness. For instance, like I was saying, the manufacturing base in this country, the whole idea of assembly line manufacture rather than a man building a whole bicycle from the ground up, which was the way it was done. Now they started, one guy was just putting on spokes, and the next person was putting on pedals. And it went much faster that way, much more expedient. And the whole world changed from that period of time. And aren't cars the foundation of our civilization? And doesn't oil support that? Mm-hmm. There you have the whole picture. But in this case, ethics will be the foundation, not power. So new technological developments will be empowered ethically. We don't know exactly what sort of technology or information or discoveries of other planets and other parts of the galaxy we're going to find by that time, but we do know that this is when ethics rises to the top. And the whole idea of power, empowering yourself over someone else, will become as foreign as cannibalism. For the same reason, an evolution in consciousness. The whole idea of you have to do this because I say so because would be like eating the person. You just go, people who were standing around at this time just wouldn't do it. After all we have been through here, it ain't going to happen. We will know better. How many people are standing here depends really on how well people understand what's happening around them. Whether it's this information or whatever else happens to work. It's how well they understand. Because that's the only way you can be with it. You can't be with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people dying in an afternoon very easily. Unless you understand it's a part of a bigger process. A weeding out, but it's part of a bigger process. As we become more and more able to manifest what it is that we intend, I don't think you'd want some of these people hanging around. Some of these people have intents which are pretty vicious. In fact, I should just point out that to the degree they're able, because more is possible, they are now using all of those evil intentions to create more and more fantastic badness. It's already happening. We don't want them to stick around and create even worse and worse, do we? So somebody's got to get off the bus. And Mother Earth is going to do most of the work. She's already started here in your backyard. And everybody else's backyard. You know, these guys, the planetary power elite, know that they are above the law. That the law and the public cannot touch them. They have not one concern about being termed by us peons as criminal. It's actually a badge of honor. It is an accomplishment to be able to pull all this stuff off right in front of people's faces and get away with it. And then wag it in their face. You can see it in his smirk, can't you? He is above the law. He is a criminal. And he's proud of it. And all that follow him will be participating in that ecstasy. There's one thing that none of those guys could tolerate in the least. And that is being superfluous. If they were superfluous, they would lose it right away. And part of the truth, which is being exposed here, and will be much more applied here, is the truth of who the real ruler of this planet and solar system is. That is the sun. He is the absolute ruler of this planet. And what he says lives, does. What he says dies, will. Irregardless of who is president of damn it what. And he is doing that right now. The last thing you're going to hear from any government official is that global warming is not coming from your car. It's not coming from pollution. This would be happening whether humans existed on this planet or not. The sun is changing. The sun is impelled, communicated to, impulsed to change by all this. The sun has sunspots. You heard about it? Mm-hmm. Electromagnetic disturbances, which are blasted at the speed of light from the sun, and then we traverse through them. What happens? What happens? Well, first of all, we have, I'll do a diagram of this, maybe easier. We have a sheath, an electromagnetic sheath around our planet. Sort of looks like this. Here's our planet. And here's this electromagnetic sheath. Looks like that. Okay? And we're traveling this way. This is all electromagnetic energy generated by the spin of Earth. Put a spin here on Earth. Right? Okay? It goes around, it generates this field. The field is kind of drug and trails behind us. Around the planet also is what's called the jet stream. You familiar with that? Well, when sun particles come in, what they do is they dent that electromagnetic shield. These are all particles, like sand or water. These are all particles. They're looser, but they're still there. When this is pushed in, what happens to the jet stream?
Changes.
It's called wind shear. It goes straight down to the ground. 600-700 miles an hour. These winds are. Also, we got these cute little electric wires and pipelines that run everywhere on the surface of the planet. Have you ever rubbed a balloon up next to some wool or cotton? Or on your hair? Rubbed a balloon? What happens? Static electricity. That's what this is. Electromagnetic energy. And when these particles come down and hit all these pipes and wires, it sets up a charge that adds to the flow of the charge in those lines. And then we have a down system. That's what happened in Ohio. And the whole Pacific, the whole eastern coast. That's also what happened in England. And also what happened in the state of Georgia. Over the last few weeks. It's what happened in '89 in Ottawa. Remember that? Winter of '89. Ottawa. Boom! Down. It was all from a direct hit of what's called an X-class flare. Now, who rules this planet? Who is completely superfluous? And how is it going to come down? We got enough bombs and rockets to destroy this planet 10 times over. All we got to do is have people upset enough. By the way, your mind is electromagnetic. So all these things are affecting that too, if you hadn't noticed already. We have enough bombs to blow us up over and over and over again. But it's really tough to have a war when you don't have any electricity, and the earthquakes are going off, and you're in the middle of a 400-mile-an-hour wind. I'm sorry. The war is called off. For weather. That's what's going to happen during this period of time. In other words, what do you do about it? You be knowledgeable. You get prepared. Have you noticed how many Red Cross signs are up here and around? With the be prepared, prepare yourself, get ready for something. Don't you think these guys already know? And they're just not telling you? Mm-hmm. Don't it look like... I mean, have you ever been to a poker game where you weren't supposed to be in a poker game? And there was a knock at the front door. Hey, hey, hey! Constable here! Open up! What happens to the table? All the chips and cards are on the table. What happens? Everybody, what are the politicos doing right now? Isn't this a massive grab and stash? Blatant? Right out in the open? Don't you think they know something? Why was Soho satellite taken down? 2 months ago. That's the satellite that keeps track of the solar emission. Mm-hmm. They took it offline. Oops, the antenna broke. That's what they told us. So there is no more notification of how many and in which direction the solar flares are coming from. Not that they tell us. NASA is the gatekeeper of this. And, is NASA powerful? So, what we've got is personal ethics and out-of-control power that are meeting each other, and it's going to be one heck of a mess. For about 360 days.
Is that the third night?
That's the third night. Plenty of time for you to starve. Because you think grocery stores are going to be open during this period? No. life as we know it, right now, won't make it through this. Life as we envision it will have the way cleared for it from this. It's another one of those deals like, remember the meteor bombardment? 250 million years of meteors just blasting this place. Just happened to bring in all the water. And I didn't bring this up before, but all of the bacteria, the protein strings, these weren't cells yet. They were life. They were protein strings. They came in that water. Creation hasn't gone through all this investment to just waste it. There's huge momentum built up here. This power structure was the manifestation at the top of this whole motion. Look at how powerful and pervasive it is. Ethics will be even more so and more concentrated. The miracles that will be available to us during this period of time can't come out right now because power is holding them down. Free energy. Who wants it? Do you know that you can have it already except for Chevron and Halliburton and Bush? It exists right now. There are 2 patents out. One to Tom Bearden was actually given on February 28th in 2002. He received the patent for a free energy machine. It produces more energy than it uses. Another, Stephen Greer. Anybody knows Dr. Stephen Greer? And the Disclosure Project, who have gathered industrialists, millionaires with a few ethics, and they have invested in developing and manufacturing a machine that Dr. Stephen Greer ran into, which is the size of about 26 inches in diameter, a little plexiglass case, easily liftable, and it's transportable anywhere, no wires, and it will produce 400 watts from nothing. It's there. We'll have it right during this period of time. You see, the 4th day is the foundations, but then those foundations are applied. In other words, during this period of time, all these marvelous new innovations will come popping forward that were suppressed. Then they get applied into transportation systems, into new manufacturing kinds of facilities, into all the kinds of things that will ethically benefit the whole planet. Did you know, you've ever heard about a thing called polychloride? Polychloride is the most pollutant thing that we know of. It's absolutely fatal. And it never seems to go away. Well, just recently, scientists discovered a microbe 400 feet below the ground in a toxic dump that was eating vinyl chloride. Eating it for lunch. And so now, our scientists, now that the truth is out, they're now genetically altering this thing to eat every pollutant that exists. They're changing his appetite to oil, to this, to that. Now, do you suppose that technology is going to be allowed to escape during this power struggle thing? No. Because that would lessen the fear and the control. So they won't let that happen, not until they're moved out of the way. Once they're moved out of the way, poof. That kind of technology that we have right now will be set free. And all of us will gain benefit from that and continue on forward. For the 5th day We have no vocabulary for the kinds of breakthroughs and developments that will happen during that time, benefiting mankind ethically. I'll give you an example though. Just kind of a lead up. Right here during the fifth day, we found out that we're all divine, sons and daughters of God. Each of us individually. Here, we got the blueprint of our reality and the fact that everything is possible demonstrated. My prothesis is that this and this shows up here. That during the fifth day, it is revealed that we are absolutely divine spirit and can manifest absolutely anything and everything we desire. It'll take practice. It won't be everybody all at once. But that will start to happen more and more and more and more. Of course, it'll be applied. The last time that we did this application thing, we went into World War II. Can you imagine a world war with ethics as the basis of consciousness?
They threw a war and no one came.
That would be more likely if that was to ever be declared. There won't be any war on poverty either. We know what that's about. War on drugs? Yeah. Cutting the competition. What will happen here is something more wide awake. Remember, here, we weren't looking. We didn't know anything about this schedule. The clutch went in. Remember we were talking about you put in the clutch, anything can happen? It's just like this, all of a sudden, this free energy and perception. But this time, with an ethical base, with understanding the whole procedure, we get to this point where anything can happen. We're in for a wonderful ride. We really, really are people.
When does day 5 start?
I want to make sure I got it right. So I'm going to actually look on it.
2007.
Yeah, it is. I think it starts in 2000. It's November of. I should have written it on the page, but I didn't. Fifth day starts November 23rd, 2006. The fifth night starts November 18th, 2007. The sixth day starts November 12th, 2008.
Do you have any advice on how to make it through the third night?
Allow. That's it. That's it. Any other kind of a method is yours particularly, in your situation. But it's only allow all of the horribleness to happen. Because you can already let the good stuff happen, can't you? You can let good stuff happen. But you resist bad. What looks bad on the surface to us, you resist it. Your mind revolts against that. And up until this point, it made sense. But the mind doesn't apply anymore. Because the mind is going to be outpaced by the pace of creation. So it's allowing the occurrences so that you flow with them, rather than any resistance.
I was thinking more in terms of eating and that sort of thing. You said something.
Eating? Oh.
Power
Oh, yeah.
and no food.
Yeah.
The grocery stores would be open, that sort of thing.
Plant a garden. Literally, really, plant a garden with friends. Don't try to do this alone. This is not an alone thing. It's a support system that you develop within your community.
And stock up water.
Yeah, have a good water supply and a food supply. You'll need it. You'll need it. I don't want to be harbinger of bad news. But if I didn't tell you the truth, then I'd be some kind of idiot.
And we're doing that. We have a garden, we have chickens.
Oh yeah, we're walking it.
Stock up water.
But can't you also manifest?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not to a
You can manifest a sprout growing from a seed. You can do that. So you're working with what we've got. I mean, this is a test. It's pass or fail. Yeah.
Does the Earth actually draw those magnetic impulses from the sun to certain areas?
No.
Is it working together with it?
No. No. It's like a fish in a barrel with somebody with, boom, 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 boom. Eventually you hit the fish. But you don't know where you're going to hit it. I mean, it's just action, reaction happening.
But isn't it an accumulation of consciousness in areas that would draw you?
No, not at all. There are going to be, within any particular location that is hit, on an individual basis, people will be able to modify the effect of that hit. First, by receiving the intuition to get the hell out and leave, rather than stay another week to make the payment on the boat, for instance. And did you guys hear the stories about 9/11 and the people? Everybody comes down out of Tower 2, and it hadn't been hit yet. And there's thousands of people in the street, and all clear was given. And there were people who were told to go back up into the building. And hundreds of people did so. Because they were thinking about the customer on the West Coast that they could sell some stocks to, or some insurance deal, or just in general, the mortgage, the wife, the kids, the boat, the camps, the school. They were thinking about that. And they ignored their intuition and went back up. There were lots of other folks who paid attention to their intuition that morning and never even drove to work. Take a clue. You're getting them too. You're getting the intuitions. All you have to do is listen to it. Oh, intuition. How do you know it's your intuition? How do you know? There is one qualifier. If there is any fear or doubt associated with your thought, that is not your intuition. If there is any fear or doubt, your intuition is a knowing. Remember when something dire, drastic was happening in your face, you didn't have time to think about it, you just knew what to do. Was there any fear in that moment? Not a speck. There was only certainty. No matter what the situation looked like, you knew without thinking what to do. That was your intuition. Later, after you survived, you probably experienced a little bit of fear. But that intuition is clear of any of that. So if you find yourself going, ooh, I wonder if I ought to leave. I wonder if it's going to be dangerous. Well, that's not your intuition. That's your mind. And you don't have to listen to it. Yes?
It was like the woman who had lifted the car and the child was set underneath it. She had no idea how she lifted the car and get the child out. She didn't think about it. It was just something that had to get done.
I'm sure, yeah, that's right. People do fantastic feats of leaping too. People who leap across from one building to the other. You know, being chased by police. A couple of times. Leap 30 feet. Nobody can do that. And these guys are pointing. You know, the police are going, whoa.
In the zone.
We're all far more able than we have been allowed to believe. Those allowances have started here with all the reasons you couldn't do that. And then we had the laws to improve you couldn't do that. And then we had empowerment to lean on you so you sure couldn't do that. Meanwhile, our abilities have been building, including telepathy, like we were just talking about. And the ability to manifest quicker and quicker what you desire.
So what's on the 6th day?
The 6th day, right here, 6th day, is when spirit overcomes technology completely. This is when Apple. For everybody.
So there isn't a booth. We can just go because we thought of it.
Right. No booth, no technology whatsoever. Poof. Whatever you intend to manifest, won't. Right there, right now.
We need some practice.
Well, we've got this right here. Remember I was saying
I know.
some people would have this ability. Then it would go into more full application.
Right.
This is the practice. Then here we go. Wham! Now, I don't know about you, but there's people on this planet, I don't want to have that ability.
True. But I want it.
Well, maybe you have an ethical base to your consciousness rather than an empowerment one. I don't want somebody with that power trip to be able to do that.
Wouldn't they have already been dispersed with?
Oh, by far. But right in here, most of them are getting off the bus.
But
Right
not
in
all of
here.
them.
Killing each other and victims of resistance. Basically, it's all resistance. We'll just wipe them. Here, there may be a few left, cowering in shadows. By this time, it won't be at all. But here, by this time, 6th day, we will have overcome technology of any kind.
Didn't you say we could manifest whatever we desired on the day 5?
Some people will.
Oh, some.
Yes. Some people will. Not everyone. Some people will. The possibility, the option, it will manifest that it's there, just like Christ walked on water, or so they say, and healed folks. He was the only one that could do it. Here is that energy again, backed up by science and new technology. So, woo, yeah.
I'm counting on the 100th monkey principle myself.
Oh, that's very much in keeping with all of this. But there is this I want you to try to get the idea of this gigantic swell of creation and consciousness that isn't going to just roll over and play dead. These power guys are a sneeze, a chew up next to all this. Nothing. And it's our understanding of this process, our expectation of this process, that leads us through it. I hope we all make it. I don't know.
So on the 5th night, you didn't say anything about
The 6th
that.
night, no.
5th night.
Fifth night. Oh, the 5th night is the application of new technologies of manifesting and manufacturing without going through all the steps and processes.
Oh, I got
If
that.
you can teleport something, that means that you can take the molecules, you can record them, you can send them, and then you can reorganize them at the other end. Okay? That is not very far from taking the memory of what those molecules were and just sending the memory. And poof, there it is. So manufacture will be instant during this period of time. Then, as we apply that, more and more people will be able to do it without the technology until finally here, it'll just be. Then, we go into the 6th night. The sixth night, well, the way I put it, what I see in the sixth night is just bliss. We do need the practice. We need it. Because right after that, during the seventh day, during this seventh day is when this starts. Okay? This is 360 days. And here comes this, conscious co-creation. Is this a little different than you thought it was going to be?
The frequency of the Earth is supposedly speeding up.
Yes.
The rotation is slowing down.
Yes. Yes. Right about here. In fact, in the fourth day, the Earth will stop. And then it will start to rotate in the opposite direction.
Reverse gravity is what you're saying, right?
Reverse rotation.
The galactic fourth day or the
During the day.
The galactic one?
Oh yeah, right. During the galactic cycle, during this section of the galactic cycle, that is November 28th. Yeah. The fourth day is December 3rd through November 28th. December 3rd, 2004 through November 28th, 2005 will be the fourth day.
Is that what you refer to as the poles shifting?
Yes, they're actually moving quite rapidly right now. During the third night, there will be all the changes leading up to that pole shift. Then it will happen right at the beginning of the fourth day, and then the Earth will start spinning in the opposite direction. Now, is that a change of consciousness? Is that a new foundation for consciousness? I think so. The world as we know it will pass away during this period of time. But a whole new creation, a whole new foundation built on anything is possible. What's the last thing anybody on this earth would think is possible? That the sun wouldn't rise or set. Because our whole civilization, our whole consciousness of our civilization is based on, wow. So it's the last thing anybody would expect. But it's happening right now. The Schumann resonance, that is the frequency, the heartbeat of Mother Earth, is speeding up. And the rotation of the planet is imperceptibly, almost imperceptibly, but they're having to change the atomic clocks all the time, is slowing down. The Earth is slowing down. What's happening is inside the Earth, they've now found two vortices. One at the North Pole, one at the South Pole, that are disturbing the magma. That is the electronic generator within the core of the Earth. This is all scientific. This is not just some person. This is out of Danish. It was a Danish scientific community that discovered these vortices, and they are saying that within the next 1,000 years, that the Earth would possibly, well, no, they said within 1,000 years it's going to stop, and then start in the other direction. They have no idea about this, though. They have no idea about the acceleration. Yes?
A lot of the earthquakes, as I was telling you at lunchtime, that I belong to this group for people that are physically sensitive to earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is we're all getting really sick because the magma is moving slower and the Earth's crust is still, it's like skim shooting around on the outside of it because it's obviously soft on the inside and solid on the outside. So the Earth, all the tectonic plates are all rupturing now, and that's why we're having so many earthquakes. And
the volcanoes are starting
volcanoes, and there's I mean, they're both
And it's
forming and
all
working
going,
all over. Yeah.
it's going to completely uncork
Yeah.
during this period of time. All of it.
How on earth did the Mayans figure all this out?
They didn't.
Well, they didn't.
The Maya didn't know this. The Maya knew of the general pattern of creation. Where they got that, they say, is from a man, a god, called Itzamna. Itzamna. And he was the first teacher, the person who came and delivered the information of the calendar, mathematics, writing, all of it. He bestowed that information on the Maya. Who he was, we don't really know.
From somebody with the Mayan calendar just finished back on another planet, they flew over.
Yeah, he's on a route, I guess, you know.
Well, the Sumerians also had a prophet of sort, that entered their culture at a certain point and brought them out of primitiveness and taught them the culture.
Yes, and Stitchkin's work is very interesting and laces all through this as well. It's all a pattern, people. It's all a very definite, scientifically provable pattern, and really, the detail of the truth of it is in the book. Like, we can't go into all of it here, but it's all there.
You're the one, so we don't know about that book and where we obtain it.
Oh, okay.
Amazon.com, I've got yours.
What is it called?
Yeah, it's
Mayan?
called the Mayan calendar. Actually, the whole name of the book is Solving the Greatest Mystery of Our Time, the Mayan calendar. But if you just remember Carl Kallman's name, that's Calleman. Call it now.
Roy?
Carl with a C, Carl Kallman. And warning, it is a scientific text. It's not a novel. So when you read it, it's not going to read like a book, like a novel book.
Will you take us through the days for the universal cycle, the 20-day cycle, where we're going to go through those 7?
Gee, I wish I could. But I am ill-equipped. I have this consciousness which is down in here somewhere. And I have no right to talk about any of this in any factual basis whatsoever. I mean, we can go through this plan down here where you have a seed, you plant the seed, it sprouts. It starts to develop a second set of leaves, then it starts developing a root system. By the time you get here, we've got a tap root for the plant. Then we've got more branches, and we start to send out an electrochemical signal to produce buds. The buds are produced during this 5th day. The sex happens during the 5th night. Sex. I mean, look at here you were the zygote, right? And you get all the way over here where you start to sprout.
When's this 5th night again?
Here, this is in human terms, this is puberty right here, where everything is like just going, right? Remember? Puberty, all those hormones and and then you actually went out and applied it, and that's when the shit really hit the fan. I mean, your family to someone, the boyfriend's left or whatever. I mean, it was right here, that 5th night, we all had one. Then we went on to adolescence and
I was in my 50s when I had my 5th.
So we go over, and finally you're in your, this is the elder consciousness in a human, fully adult and with some wisdom, hopefully. we can apply that to this time period. Won't matter. It'll still exist to some degree or another, but it won't matter at all. It's not until we get to here, and then time will just pass away, space will pass away, all those concepts will just vaporize. Oh, you can create them at your whim and desire. Completely. In every way. This is what it's all been about for all time. The whole evolution of creation is to bring us up to where we ourselves are creators. Get used to that. Yes.
Can you describe some personal experiences as to why this system is really compelling for you?
Well, actually, it's in the book. There's nothing I could do about the facts except embrace it. And once I did that, and I already knew I had some ability to get up and button people, I just put the two together. And I found a purpose. I found a very satisfying thing. And so that's how it is about me personally. But the facts stand on their own. Don't have to have anybody really explain them. They're there. It's there. There's no refuting that. So then what I did do is I extrapolated from that a lot of this, or fed it in, but this part, hasn't happened yet. So we're just going, okay, studying in detail what has happened in the past and how it applied and how it changed the different consciousnesses. Then, okay, we go through the same pattern now with ethics. What's going to happen? A lot of goodness. But a big upset right here. There's always been upset there, and there's going to be another.
I can't imagine you're sharing that with too many of your fellow Americans without causing some problems.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, first of all, I'm perfectly safe in America. I could go walk all over in Washington, D.C., stand on street corners proclaiming this. And I would be absolutely not harmed whatsoever. For one real simple reason. All of this is incredible. Who would ever believe this?
There's another wacko. Well, I think more of the grassroots would listen to you than you think. The grassroots are getting really ready for the change because I'm out there. The ones that are really looking into the community, they're so frustrated. They know that there isn't a choice between Dean and Bush. Or
No, there's not.
Repeat the question so it can be heard on tape, please.
Okay, well, the question was up there about how is it that you, isn't it interesting presenting this to Americans? And am I safe, I guess, am I safe talking about this sort of thing? And I'm perfectly safe. Because these guys have all their plans, their consciousness is on what they're paying attention to. What they're paying attention to is how they can get more from people. That's all they're paying attention to. And then how they can trick and lie and strut and boast in front of people.
And steal, right?
Yeah, that's what they have their attention on. So that's what they're conscious of. And this doesn't exist, isn't real. I'm invisible. Completely. Same with David Icke. You guys read his work, right?
Yeah.
How in the heck can that guy be walking around?
I've often wondered how he had his internet. That it's not been taken offline yet.
Yeah, he's got all this facts and stuff on the internet. And how can that possibly be? The people at the top, the people who can do something about it, don't care. Because they don't believe that anybody else who's credible would believe that stuff.
So how is this being accepted by the people in the U.S.?
Well, limited. how is it being accepted by people in the U.S.? Limited. So far, I've done a lot of radio broadcasts, internet broadcasts, and some television, PBS and small local stations. But I haven't been on Oprah yet. Interesting you asked that question, because when I get back after this trip, on the 25th of September, we have an interview with Willie Nelson, who has seen the tape of this information and is extremely interested in helping us to get this disseminated.
And he's for Kucinich.
He's coming to Sedona, and he's one of the #1 Kucinich backers. I can promise you that Dennis Kucinich will have this information in tape form within a very short period of time. And so the potential candidate for Democratic president will be apprised of this information. And will have his people studying it from a scientific point of view to verify everything. So this is really going to be something special. Right on time, by the way. Yeah, I'm going to show you something. Show you something. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, yeah. Over here. There it is. I think so.
Did you bring that harmonic concordance stuff?
Oh, yeah. Concordance. Ooh, by the way, I could have gone into the economy of the world.
Oh, I wanted to ask about money.
The economy, this is the world economy. Look at this on the tape. Anyway.
Yeah.
The world economy during the planetary cycle. Okay? And this is the days, and during the days there were particular developments, like a continental currency, gold-backed, was in 1766 is when that went into effect. During the night, during 1772, the British and Dutch economies completely collapsed. Complete collapse of their economies in 1772. During the second day, the U.S. Mint was established. Gold and silver coins were made. 1794. During the second night, 1819, British and U.S. economic collapse. Ba-boom. Bankrupt. Third day. I don't have anything written. the third night, 1857, U.S. and Europe, Germany collapsed. Economic collapse in 1873. Fourth day, U.S. government mints started to turn out new coins. Also, during this period of time, there was a large investment from Europe that came in about the railroads. Okay? 1893, depression in the U.S., France, and India. 1907. And went all the way through there. The fifth day, the Federal Reserve was started. 1913. The Federal Reserve was started. In the fifth night, 1931 to 1933, was the Great Depression.
It didn't end then.
Well, it went on. It went
that
from...
was the depth of it.
That was the depth of it. Started in 29, and it got, boom, serious during this period of time. Then during the sixth day, the U.S. pledged to the world to pay every debt to other nations in gold. Never mind, we went off the gold standard. We'll pay you in gold for all the debts.
What day was that? What day was that?
That's the sixth day. We went off the gold standard, but we promised the world that we would pay all of their debts in gold. In the sixth day.
That's when Roosevelt was president.
Right.
1933.
Then, in 1973, we went off the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
and we just pulled that agreement back from the world. That is, we won't pay any gold for anything that we owe you. It will be in greenbacks, Federal Reserve notes only. That was in 1973. And in 1973, we had runaway inflation. The 10% of the oil companies, their value went up 10% across the board. And then in the seventh day, 1992 to 2001, we had this techno bubble build up. Now, we understand it's popped. You see how during the day, things got better in economies? During the nights, things got worse for economies every single time. This is no mistake. This is no coincidence. Economy is based only on consciousness. And so as consciousness changes, so does the economy.
Well, you said we would do without money.
Yeah.
When did that come?
Well, during the fourth day, we're going to be going mostly to barter during the fourth day. Actually, what it's going to come down to, your payment will be your appreciation. And that's the only payment you need to give. It's sort of already happening. Napster? Anybody heard of Napster?
Yes.
Free music, right? They got busted, but they were experimenting. Free music. Now there's other ones with free downloads of this and that. What was the most valuable thing on Napster? It was all free, so what was the most valuable thing?
I was able to go back 25 years and get songs I hadn't heard.
Yeah, that's to the individual. But on Napster, the thing that was most valuable was the thing that was downloaded the most for free. In other words, the thing that was appreciated the most was the most valuable. Isn't that the truth of the matter in the first place? Of course, the power elite overcame it, but, geez, we've been going 2 steps forward, 1 step back for a long time. We're still getting there. Okay? So, what's in the future is some kind of a protraction of that, where the value or the exchange of goods and services will be on the appreciation of that service. Sort of a pay-it-forward thing extended worldwide. The absolute model of that isn't made yet. That's part of the fourth day, is coming up with those models of how economy will work, and then putting those systems into place in the fourth night. That's how we get past money. In the meantime, gold is the only thing to have. Although you're going to use those greenbacks as toilet paper and nothing else. Mulch, maybe you can mulch them and put them in the ground for your plants. Maybe burn them, keep your hands warm, that kind of thing. That's the only use there will be for paper money, because it is absolutely, completely hollow and worthless. There is no value behind any of the money that you now use. They are shit. You go to work and you get paid shit. That then you can go out and with confidence, and only confidence, present them for shit. That you haul back home and store in your shit shed. And you have to rent one, well, you pay shits to rent the shit shed.
Well, now I want to run up my credit.
What about the other metals, silver and platinum?
Silver and platinum are going to be good. Now, the problem with silver and platinum is they're real similar in look and feel, unless you have equipment to measure, okay, which is which and how much of which is what. Now, on the other hand, gold, if it's 24 karat, is dentable with your teeth. Aha! It's real. It's not alloyed with anything. This is a personal, upfront test. So if you have little nuggets of gold, little parts called casting gold, if you are familiar with that, a casting grain, then this is immediately identifiable as genuine gold. Because only gold is compressible with the force of your teeth and jaw. So gold is immediately identifiable. Silver and platinum, you'd have to go through some stuff. So I would suggest, especially if you're going to be using this as commerce, that you get gold rather than silver or platinum.
So what is it that you feel that you need to tell us in the next few minutes before we wrap up?
Oh, boy. That's too complicated. That's too complicated for a few moments. And I think that you guys are probably pretty full of information anyway. You think not spinning? You okay?
About the concordance, have you?
Well, now the concordance doesn't have anything to do with the specific date on the Mayan calendar. But it does have to do with the truth coming out. You know, this is all about the truth. And what we have is we got the truth coming out, and then we got the truth applied, right?
Right.
So, the truth is coming out during this third day. The very end of that is December 9th, and November 8th is right next to that line. Now, from what I've read about the concordance, have you guys heard about the concordance? The chart heard around the world is what it's called. There's an astrological chart that shows that there's a specific, very peculiar pattern that shows up on November 8th and 9th, depending on where you are according to the date line. On November 8th here, this year, there will be a perfect, and I mean perfect, Star of David. That is a star tetrahedra that will be formed astrologically between the planets and near stars. An absolutely perfect pattern. An absolutely perfect pattern that shows up in nature. Whoa! There ain't no such monster, but here it is, in a grand, grand scale. I mean, there's no perfect snowflakes. Out of all the millions of them, there are each little defects of a symmetrical form. In this case, at an astronomical level, we have a perfection of form.
Is this good, a good portion, or not good?
It's both.
Both.
It is a portal. It is a portal for truth. The number one truth that stands out about all of this is that the hologram of the universe, or that the universe is a hologram, and that it manifests. There is no other explanation on how this perfect form should show up. A perfect balanced form of a star tetrahedron, unless there's something very massive at work behind the scenes. There is a pattern to all of creation. And this is a very definite, big sign of that truth. And there's no other explanation for it. You get that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That if over light years of space, there would appear a perfect pattern between our planets and a couple of other stars within our solar system and just outside. I mean, for that to show up, and this is a standard astrological chart. This is nothing special. This is the one that everybody uses. November 8th, wham! An absolute perfect star tetrahedron. Something's up, is what that says. Now, what is up is we know is the truth coming forward. The truth is there's a pattern to creation. So that's basically it. But then that portal of that truth opens everything else to people. It's the setup for the third night. Once that portal opens, then the truth is going to flood in to everyone. Everybody. It's like an opening. Whoop, an aperture. One. Whoop. We're going to get it. Right now it's available, but only on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Only to an elite clique. But when that hits, when that opens, it'll be available to every single person, and from that point on, everyone will deal with it as they may. That's what's happening on November 8th.
And that's called concordance?
The Grand Concordance, yeah. There was the harmonic concordance. There was the harmonic convergence that started and it was August 16th, 17th of 87. And that was a mark of a move, well actually it was it was the high noon of the 6th day. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to back up on that. I did look it up, but you can look it up on the calendar. The 16th and 17th of 87. And it was a crocodile day. And it was the beginning of one of the cycles of the calendar. I don't remember exactly which one it was. But it was the inception of a whole cycle on the calendar. And so we've had a lot of development since then. Mm-hmm. This is another step up on that.
Yes, I was wondering, could you possibly show us on the calendar how to look that up?
Oh, look up that.
Would you mind?
Okay, no, I wouldn't mind. We'll look up that date. As a matter of fact, August. Do you have a calendar there with you? Let's do this again. First, we go to the red chart. And we go to August. It goes across January, February, March, all over here to August. We go down to August 16th, and that's 168. Right? Red number, 168. And then we go to the year of 1987. And that number is 93. So we want to add 93.
261.
93.
261.
And, 167? 168, okay. It's 2 what?
261.
261. Right. And 261, remember, we have to subtract 260.
So it's 1.
So that day was number 1 day on the Mayan calendar, which is 1 crocodile.
On the other side.
Now, this wouldn't have been useful in any previous time concerning the Mayan calendar. This tool wouldn't matter. Because things were happening at rather an extended period of time, 20 years. But now we're down to where a day or a night happens in 360 days. 360 degrees. There's something else that does that every day, twice, that we're very familiar with, a clock. Now, the last time, in a planetary cycle, each one of these hours would have been 300 days. This is a pretty good space of time. 300 days. Now, each one of these hours is 15 days. This is like the midnight or high noon, depending on which revolution you take. But December 14, 2002 was the beginning of this cycle. 15 days later, it was 1 o'clock. 15 days later, it was 2 o'clock. 45 days after the beginning, it was 3 o'clock. And so now we can follow this around to see what happens, and we can compare it to what happened at 1 o'clock in the last cycle. And we can more exactly see what is coming, what is happening, and why. We were in Afghanistan right here, tearing things up. We were building up to Iraq, all the way over to here, which is when we attacked Iraq. And then it was at this point right here is when we declared victory. At 3 o'clock. And now it's going up around. It goes back down. We're getting right here. This is 6 o'clock in the morning. Then it goes around to 12 o'clock high noon. Then it goes back around, back down to 6 o'clock. Right now we're between here and here. We're between 5 and 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, in fact, we're very close because 6 o'clock is September 11th. On this tune clock. And I've been playing with this, and some pretty amazing stuff is showing up. And you guys can do it too. I'm going to put it actually on the webpage, so you can go and check it out. And there'll be more detail about each one of the hours from the past cycles. And then what we know about this cycle so far, and then we can start to do the third night. We'll be able to more exactly plot out the shifts and changes of what's going to happen in the third night. Every 15 minutes. Bless you. Okay, I think that we pretty well covered it. Like I said, there's not a lot to do with this information, except spread it. Really, understanding it and then being with it is all that we can hope. And that should be good enough. If there's going to be a way through, it's going to be with your intuition. Are there any final questions?
I just got a sort of a personal one. I'm a manifestor, so what is it I'm supposed to manifest if I'm just supposed to be?
Happiness.
Okay.
In the face of everything. Yeah.
We could stay here for a long, long, long time, and we could listen. Ian's knowledge and information has only just got the surface of it. But I'm looking on the Gregorian calendar this time and this place, and can we thank Ian? Yeah.